Hello, I hope you're having a great week. This week we had 4 different ministry opportunities present themselves to us, and as we respectfully declined all of them, we got the power to do that, to know whether an opportunity is actually an opposition from looking at this story. It's through this story that God showed us that living a spiritually slow, measured life is the way to live close to God. It's the way to have joy, simplicity, power, confidence in every step along the way. So let's get into it. Through John chapter 11, verses 1 through 7, we're gonna see why we need to be unhurried, why we can't be unhurried, and how to be unhurried. Let's get this video done before this plane lands on our face. Here we go. Now, a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. It was Mary who anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was ill. Now, this is a big deal to Jesus because these are some of his closest friends. I mean, they're mentioned in every single one of the Gospels. This looks like an opportunity for Jesus to help a friend, to help his ministry, to get some, cool, glorification from just being able to go there and raise this guy from the dead or stop his illness. Could be a good opportunity, but what Jesus does next is unheard of. He is unhurried. He doesn't rush. He cares, we know that because the Bible tells us he weeps, but he doesn't rush there. Why? It's because Jesus knows this. Some opportunities are actually oppositions. That's what we need. We need to be able to know that. The only way you can know that is by being unhurried. Jesus is so unhurried. He's so unforced. You couldn't force his hand to do anything. He always walked slowly and purposefully through this life according to God's will. This one time we took this oppositional opportunity. We didn't know it at the time, but an app was like, hey, join us. A bunch of creators are going to be on our platform. You're going to love it. And so we did it. And when people Googled that app and my name together, it would take them to an inappropriate website, very inappropriate. It wasn't on the app side. It was someone intercepted, through Google SEO and whatever. And it turned into this horrible, dark little season of our life. And that's because I didn't need to take that opportunity. That opportunity, if I was slow spiritually, if I was unhurried, I would have seen it as an opposition. Jesus didn't make mistakes like that. This is why we need to be unhurried, but it gets worse. This is why we can't be unhurried. Look at verses 3, 4, and 5. So the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, the one you love is ill. But Jesus said this when he heard, this illness does not lead to death. It is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 more days longer in the place where he was. Now, how does that make sense? He says he loved them, he loved Lazarus, but he didn't run to his aid to take away his illness. We know Jesus has the power to take away illnesses, so what's going on? God's love doesn't look like our love. We think love means giving a person what they want. We think a person loves us when a person gives us what we want. That's not love, that's immature. Jesus' love is different because Jesus' love always gives what the person needs, not what the person wants. He didn't live that way, constantly saying, I'm going to give you what you want, I'm going to give you what you want, I'm going to give you what you want. He said, I'm going to give you what you need. And so that is why we can't be unhurried, because we are so bad at that. We mistake our wants for God's will. That's why we are so hurried. So Jesus didn't hurry. He says, I love you guys so much that I'm going to let your brother die just so I can show you that I am the resurrection and the life. I love you and I want to spend eternity with you, so I'm going to do what you need in this moment, not what you want. Now, how do we have the power to do that? Verse 7. How do we have the power to live unhurried, to make decisions like that, to know which opportunities are actually oppositions? Verse 7 says, Then after this, he said to his disciples, let us go to Judea again. Whoa, wait a second. Lazarus lives in Judea? Lazarus, that means that's bad. In verse 8, it tells us that that was a place according to the disciples' knowledge and Jesus' knowledge, that was a place where people wanted to kill Jesus. So for Jesus to still want to go there, knowing the friend is going to die, knowing that people don't like him there, that changes the situation completely. What is Jesus doing? He's walking into a trap. He's walking to his deathbed. Slowly, simply, spiritually slow, measured, he's walking right into it. And that right there is the secret on how to live an unhurried life. You see, Jesus lived a spiritually slow, measured life. How are we going to live the same? Right there, it shows us that Jesus died an unhurried death so we can live an unhurried life. He willingly, slowly, like a lamb going to the slaughter, silently, simply walked straight into his death, not speed running through it, saying, let's get this cross thing over with quickly. He felt every single ounce of hell. He walked slowly to Judea and walked slowly to Calvary so that we could walk slowly through this life. Don't you see, as a Christian, you don't have to hurry. You don't have to worry. You don't have to run quickly through anything. You don't have to jump to conclusions, make decisions quickly. God has given you the power through the cross, through Christ. He said, your value, your worth has already been settled. Your value, your worth is already in the cross and what my son did for you. Don't you see? Now you have the power just to walk slowly. You don't have to force anything. Look at how Jesus died an unhurried death, and then you'll have the power to live an unhurried life. Now, how will you know which opportunities are actually oppositions? Ask yourself the same thing that Jesus asked the disciples. He was asking the disciples to see, are you going to trust me to show you how my decision to go to save Lazarus at my timing, not your timing, are you going to see through that I'm going to be glorified in it? He was trying to get the disciples to ask themselves before they jump into any decision, how is it going to glorify me? If I go to Bethany right now, if I go to Judea right now, how is it going to glorify me? No, I'm going to wait 2 more days because that's going to glorify the Son of Man. That's going to glorify Jesus. And if Jesus is glorified, you will grow closer to him. Ask yourself, before you jump into that opportunity that may be in opposition, how does this glorify Jesus? Does it glorify me or does it glorify the King? If you want to learn more about this, our next episode is called Spectacle. It's about not being a spectacle, but living a slow life. If you want to, get closer to God by living more peacefully, more simply, check out our next episode. I know you're going to love it. Amen Podcast. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram. And with that said, I love you. Go out and be the church.
Amen.